la musique, la sculpture, la peinture, c'est toute une affaire personnelle, c'est une affaire de disposition et de don naturel.
Here you are in Matisse's studio, and this studio will be portraited by Matisse twice. 2 paintings, one of them being now in Russia, the Pink Studio, and then a new painting, the Red Studio.
In a way, you could say it's a self-portrait, because for an artist, really, what they make is who they are. And so I think that's why for us this picture feels like a statement on Matisse's part. Here's who I am, here's what I am.
Mon rôle, je crois, est donner de l'apaisement, parce que moi j'en ai besoin d'apaisement.
It is a very strange painting. Matisse did in 2 times. He intended to propose his painting to his Russian collector, Sergei Shchukin, and Shchukin refused to take the painting.
There are many mysteries of the Red Studio. One of the mysteries, of course, comes from the title. When Matisse first exhibited it, a year after it was made, he sent it to London for exhibition there. At that time, the name of it was just Red Panel. He did not identify it as the studio, and so clearly what was really important to him was this redness.
The first version of the painting was with different colors as what you can see now. It was not red. The red came after, and Matisse wrote to Shchukin, I painted my studio in red, the Venetian red, a very precise color. So red was familiar to Matisse, but this is the first time he did abstract-like painting with everything covered of red except the paintings, the sculptures, which are represented in the studio and that you can discover everywhere.
Et il y a 2 façons de comprendre les choses. Vous pouvez voir d'une façon statique, parce que ça dépend si vous la voyez dans l'esprit, si vous la composez comme ça ou si vous la composez physiquement en dansant avec vos membres. La statique n'empêche pas du tout le sentiment du mouvement, mais c'est un mouvement qui est placé à degré d'élévation qui n'entraîne pas les muscles des spectateurs, mais simplement leur esprit.
I don't know what is my favorite. This one, The Young Sailor, 1906, extraordinary painting. Exactly as the Red Studio, Matisse didn't know if he was allowed to go so far. Nothing is realistic here, except that there is a model. Because, as Aragon said when he wrote his book about Matisse, Henri Matisse roman, a painter always needs a model.
Je fais de la sculpture comme un peintre, mais je n'ai pas fait de la sculpture comme un sculpteur. Mais ce que dit la sculpture n'est pas ce que dit la peinture, ce que dit la peinture n'est pas ce que dit la musique. Ce sont des routes parallèles, mais qu'on ne peut pas confondre.
This was a very, very controversial picture. It had gone on exhibition before it had come back to him, and it was really attacked viciously by the critics. Because what viewers were used to at that time, if there was a portrait of a female nude, would be a very idealized, beautiful, smiling. This woman is obviously much more strongly, aggressively painted, and much more in control than just a subject of somebody else's gaze. You also see very well in this picture how Matisse liked to preserve signs of the way he changed his mind and made progress as he painted. And you see all of those dark areas by her legs and by her knees. Many artists would have covered that up. Matisse likes that you see his thought process.
Je fais du portrait d'une certaine façon. C'est-à-dire que quand je fais un portrait, d'abord je choisis mon personnage, eh bien je crée une espèce de sympathie entre lui et moi que je représente sur mon portrait, sur mon travail. C'est en somme un mariage sentimental entre deux personnes, deux esprits. Voilà ce que c'est. Le portrait tel que je le comprends. C'est une identification de deux personnages.
For decades, one of the mysteries for people about that is why did he choose to make this very unusual and very ahead of its time, almost abstract work? And one of the things that really fascinated us during our research was learning more and more detail about the fact that underneath the composition that we see today, there's a completely earlier layer which shows you the studio in far more naturalistic detail. So for example, the wood floor, you see the planks of wood. He paints them pink, not wood colored, not brown, but you can still tell it's a floor. Here, of course, there's no difference between floor and wall.
A game. Yes. Yes, in a way. But probably he didn't know exactly the rules of the game. And he said to a writer, I don't know exactly what I did, why I did that. He didn't know why suddenly he decided to cover all the surface of the canvas with red.
But anyway, he had this very nice painting. He probably was looking at it for weeks, and then in the end decided he wanted to do something a bit more bold, a bit more risky, and he got out red paint and just whipped across everything, almost covering all of the details except of the works that were by him, that were all surrounding him while he's in the studio.
Red is probably one of his favorite colors at the time, because if he chose so many times before painting this extraordinary work to use this color, Harmony in Red, 1908, Dance and Music, 1909 and 1910. In all these paintings, red is the main color.
Cette espèce de sentiment d'évasion et d'élévation d'esprit. Cette peinture doit entrer l'esprit du spectateur beaucoup plus loin que le tableau. Je ne vois pas une peinture qui n'ait pas cette qualité-là. Ou alors c'est une image. Et aujourd'hui, avec la photographie, on fait tellement belles images, même en couleur, que le devoir de l'artiste, du peintre, est de donner davantage ce que la photographie ne donne pas.
When he paints the Red Studio, he was famous, he was well known, but except a few collectors such as the Stein family or Shchukin or Morozov, nobody else wanted to buy his paintings. Success would come afterwards in the 30s. So at the time it is a turning point for him, what to do, where to go, etc. And it chose to go in this extraordinary direction.
Je crois que le rôle de la peinture, surtout la peinture décorative, est d'agrandir les surfaces. C'est de faire qu'on ne sent plus la dimension du mur.
He went to New York for the Armory show and then stayed a long time in London in a club, the Gargoyle Club. And in the end, after the war, Alfred Barr, the director of the MoMA, decided and succeeded purchasing the painting for the MoMA collection. Abstract painters from the New York School could discover this painting from 1911 in the MoMA. So it was a confirmation of what they were doing at the time. Matisse, one of the great masters of the first part of the century, had done many years before even imagined to become abstract painters.
Matisse is probably not understandable through one key, but for me, what comes to mind first is the joy of his painting, and particularly the way he brought color into the 20th century in such a celebratory way with his paintings, which are really almost like tributes to our experience of color and the way color can bring delight to our lives.
Moi, je crois que la peinture et le dessin, c'est la même chose. Le dessin est une peinture faite avec des moyens réduits. Pour moi, le dessin, c'est une peinture avec des moyens réduits. Et elle peut être très intéressante, tout à fait de soulager l'artiste de son émotion. Très bien, aussi bien que la peinture. Mais la peinture est évidemment quelque chose de plus nourri, et qui a plus d'action sur l'esprit.